and he's going to house it.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your fantasy football, sports betting, and NASCAR home. I'm your host, Kyle Robert. You follow me on Twitter at NotoriousKRO. With me, once again, to break down the Week 11 slate, talk about our best bets and player props, and all the things we're looking at in terms of betting heading into the NFL weekend is Brian Twining. What's up, Brian?
What's up, Kyle? Yeah, I'm excited for this weekend here. We got some huge games, some big matchups. This weekend's slate offers some not only good opportunity, but just overall good games to watch. So I'm really looking forward to this Week 11.
Ditto. And we talked about it a little bit in our preview. If you're not checking out our weekly preview, we kind of dive into the early lines, find some value, find some potential, and talk about the games we'll be targeting as the week rolls along. Obviously, we hit the best bets. Just a little housekeeping for next week. Brian and I will, on our normal Monday recording, comes out Tuesday, we'll be breaking down all the three Thursday or the three Thanksgiving Day games. So we'll have those kind of a little more in-depth preview. And then on Friday, we'll record in the morning and have the rest of the weekend kind of out to you by middle of the day on Friday. So that's something to kind of, with the holiday schedule and the multitude of games and kind of the way everything got broken up, it ended up working out well for us. So make sure you check out our Thanksgiving Day preview, and then as well as our full week, full normal preview, and we'll get you covered with some props and some picks and some best bets and all that good stuff for all the games
on the Turkey Day.
Yeah. I mean, Turkey Day is one of my favorite days to just like full degen, multiple DFS lineups, a plethora of bets. Just go nuts. You're gonna be on the couch chilling, eating some turkey, eating some pie, doing all the good stuff. So we can dive into that all next week. But we got Week 11, Brian, and as you mentioned, it's a hell of a week for games.
Yes,
it's a hell of a week. Chiefs Cowboys, probably your potential Super Bowl preview. We also have Jets Dolphins, which is always a doozy.
It's the game of the week right there.
Yeah. No, but there's some very interesting games. There's some very interesting lines. Obviously, I found some stinky teams that I really like.
There's already some significant line movement as well.
Kind of my brand. Yeah, we'll talk about that as we kind of roll through it too. And speaking of line movement with stinky teams, I'm on the Falcons tonight. That lines. I mean, I don't know. There's many things that I bang my head against the wall and sound like a moron maybe at the end, but
here we go head to head again, because I was on Patriots -6.5 right before it clicked into that full touchdown. So we'll see.
Yeah, no. Patriots are not the team that like the internet makes them out to be. I don't care. But let's talk about it. We obviously have a few games we'll get into, and then we'll kind of run through the rest of the betting board. We'll give you some other things to think about. We'll give you some props. Brian's got his Week 11 teaser, so we'll hit you with that. Hopefully you can get back on track. He was on fire for a while, and now it's kind of derailed a little bit. So got to get back to your principles, Brian, and get back to winning. And we'll start with a good one. Speaking of those aforementioned Dolphins, you're on the money line with the Miami Dolphins versus the Jets.
Yeah, this is a spot right here where anytime you're going into somebody else's house, Joe Flacco playing for the Jets, yes, he is absolutely horrendous, and that I don't understand their explanation for starting him against this Dolphins defense. Yes, has experience in playing in the NFL.
Because they don't want to bruise Mike White and Zach Wilson's egos, and they know this is going to be an absolute dumpster
That's
fest.
embarrassing. As professional athletes, like that's what they're worried about, and this is not a good sign going forward for this organization.
Well, yeah, but like think about like Kerry Collins when he was on Carolina and just got blitzed and then got his jaw broken, or David Carr basically could never be the same, and maybe they never were going to be the same, but it's I mean, especially with the younger kids these days, their egos are very, very fragile. We don't want them to get obliterated when you could easily put them in a better spot to come back, help boost the confidence a little bit, and kind of get them rolling in the right direction.
Yeah, and the reason why I went money line here and not and I'm not laying the 3.5 is just because I'm not fully sold yet on what this Dolphins team has shown the last couple of weeks in terms of their defense. And then with Tua coming back, yeah, he's practicing at full right now. So, but I really don't know about the finger. I worry that this is a spot where they kind of keep the game low scoring, and then you see some garbage touchdown late that gets the Jets through the back door. So this is why I think Miami is clearly the better team, and they're the side to bet here, which is why I'm okay laying the juice, going with the money line and pretty significant amount. But laying over a field goal in this spot now is a little bit risky in my eyes.
Yeah, I just added it to my card. I told you I'd be doing that throughout this podcast. Dolphins -3 is available on DraftKings. Hammer it. We're talking about Joe Flacco here. Do you remember last year how bad
Joe
he
Flacco,
was?
man, Baltimore Ravens legend.
Yeah, but that was like 10 years ago. We saw the New York Jets version.
However,
they liked it so much they brought it back.
The one thing I will say about this Jets team that another reason why I'm not laying the points here is the fact that the Jets have some legit options on the outside. If they can get the ball to their receivers with Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, was it Ryan Griffin at tight end has been playing really well. Michael Carter at running back, Ty Johnson as the receiving down back. They actually have some pieces on offense that can move the ball somewhat against this Dolphins super aggressive defense. And I do think that Flacco's experience will help them avoid those huge negative sacks of 20 yards because the quarterback is running around like a chicken with his head cut off. So that's my worry about this line. I still think Miami gets the win, but like I said, that back door is going to be wide open in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, we're still talking about Joe Flacco. This is a Dolphins defense that held Baltimore to 10 points a week ago, that held the Houston Texans to 9 points the week before that. I'm actually looking up on
Texans are trash, though.
What the team total is. Like, I would look at I would look at Dolphins -13 plus 280. I would look at.
So you're looking to please Miami.
Yes.
In this spot.
Yeah, I'm looking at alternate lines. Like, I would look at Dolphins -16.5 plus 385.
Okay, so here's an anomaly in the market, something that we've talked about earlier in the season. We haven't really touched on this lately, but over at our friends at Bovada offshore, team totals for this game are Miami set at 24.5 and the Jets set at 20.5. No way the Jets should be getting close to this if Miami's defense is anywhere near that. But when looking at that, with the line sitting at 3 and their team totals are 4 points apart, that is an indication that I probably should be betting laying the points here.
Yeah. What's the team total for the Jets?
20.5.
Yeah, under. I'm going to put that on the card too. Let's go Jets.
Watch out for the big plays with Joe Flacco.
I'll be watching. I'll be cackling on my seat as he's throwing it to the Dolphins over and over. That doesn't count for the Jets. It only counts for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
So, and we'll talk player props here in a bit. But the gas can will definitely be on the prop sheet this week.
Oh, please. I have him in fantasy, and I'm really going to need him this
Dolphins
week.
-3, Jets team total under 20.5. Both are on the card, and the card has now doubled very, very nicely.
No. This is like your appetizer for Thanksgiving week.
Spray the board Sunday, baby. I'm ready for it. Let's just start firing them off. Speaking of firing them off, I am going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars at home plus the 6.5.
What?
Very optimistic with what I saw a week ago, and this may look real dumb, but the Niners played Monday night at home. Big win, division rival, looking awesome. Now they go on the road. They're only 6.5 point favorites. I think Jacksonville can cover this number. I think they'll flirt with a win. Like they could be kicking a field goal to win by like 2. I think it's going to be an ugly game. It's a West Coast team traveling east, early game. I think Urban Meyer will take the air out of the ball. Big deflating game. I think Jacksonville, I think the Niners win like 17-13, 17-14, something really, really gross. I mean, I have to look at what the total is, but I might be wanting to jump on that as well. But yeah, I love Jacksonville in this spot.
It's so funny because as we'll see, there's gonna be some crossover in my 4-leg teaser with this spot because of that.
Yeah.
I'm amazed at the improvements that Jacksonville's defense has made in terms of the pressure that they've been able to get on the quarterback.
Yeah.
I think last week they really made some strides in that
And
sense.
anybody who watched Jimmy Garoppolo on Monday night, as soon as he had any pressure on him, he folded like a lawn chair in a slight breeze. Like he was down. Like you can't.
Well,
he does the spin around, duck around thing, and
yep.
Drives Niner fans absolutely insane. And you know, for everybody that's been clamoring for Trey Lance, this could potentially be the straw that broke the camel's back that we finally get the Trey Lance show. But
yeah, it's really interesting because all of the numbers after that Monday night game were showing Jimmy Garoppolo has become like they're running exclusively out of shotgun, mainly to get the ball out of his hands. And I think he did it at the third quickest rate last weekend.
Yeah.
And I think over the last 2 or 3 games since they went to this offense, he's doing it at the fastest rate in the NFL. So they clearly see some issues with Garoppolo in terms of teams getting pressure on him. And like you said, we could see a little Trey Lance this weekend.
Yeah. Obviously the return of George Kittle is great for the running game. And if Kyle Shanahan can keep the ball on the ground, I will say the total is at 45.5, depending on where you look. 44% of the bets on the over, 99% of the money. So
on the over
on 4,800 bets too. So that's not, it's not like we're talking about 100 bets. So that is,
I just don't think Jacksonville can put together long drives.
But could Jacksonville get you 20 and then the Niners get you 27, 28 and then you get there?
Yeah.
I mean, that seems plausible. The Niners front seven is solid, but their back end is pretty atrocious. Although getting Jimmy Ward back definitely made a difference last week. But the Rams dropped a lot of passes and Stafford was throwing behind guys a little bit. I don't know. I just think this is a perfect spot game, a great opportunity for a stinky team getting probably too many points at home to find a way to cover. Maybe they don't win, but they definitely cover.
Yeah, and this is the NFL. To remind everyone again, this is not college football. So, I mean, these are professional teams, and getting almost a touchdown at home is a big number.
Yeah. And next Friday's show should be interesting. One day ahead of the game for sure.
The game, yeah.
Let's talk about this one because I think this is a very interesting game. Obviously, you are going to be backing the Pack here, minus the 2.5. On the road at Minnesota, I believe.
Yep, in Minnesota.
Where's your head at? Why are we lining up to bet the Packers here?
So this line is actually going in the opposite direction for this particular bet, as it's currently Green Bay minus 1.5, and I happily turn in my 2.5 ticket and take 1.5. I just don't think Minnesota is capable of putting together a full 4 quarters to be able to beat an Aaron Rodgers led team that even minus Aaron Jones, they're clearly capable of pounding the rock still. Devontae Adams is practicing in full. Aaron Rodgers has a full week under his belt of getting back to the system. I know he's not practicing with his toe, but he's Aaron Rodgers. He don't need to practice. The defense for Green Bay has been playing lights out recently. It's hard to lay points going in divisional games, especially in Minneapolis. Like that is one of the true home field advantages left in the NFL. But yeah, I'm gonna back Aaron Rodgers in this spot every time he's back there behind center for the Packers.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. The Vikings are a team that perennially plays games close. They're not going to blow you out. I think one game has been a more than 7-point win or loss. This game does scare me a little bit. But as you mentioned, with AJ Dillon instead of Aaron Jones, I think it makes zero effectiveness. I think this is another game back for Aaron Rodgers after missing time with COVID. And with that being said, I'm adding another total as I am going to take the over in this game. What can I get it at right now? I was just looking at it. I can get it at 47. So I'm taking over 47. 47 and a half is fine, but I'm going to take 47 just because I can get it. I think both these offenses can do enough to produce points. I think this could be an FU game for Aaron Rodgers where he puts up 42 by himself. I think, I mean, the Packers, you can throw on them. So if Dalvin's not running effectively, and we've seen games where Dalvin just breaks off a 90-yard touchdown, and all of a sudden he's in the end zone. So
Yeah.
I think both these offenses are super effective. I think both defenses, while improved, especially on Green Bay's side, can be had. And I think they could easily get to 50 points in this game.
Yeah, I also like the over in this spot because Aaron Rodgers, he likes to kind of shove it to divisional opponents. And as good as the Packers defense has played, like I said, if Minnesota winds up playing from behind, you're going to see them have to throw the ball a ton, which means getting the ball in Cook's hands in space, getting it to Justin Jefferson. Adam Thielen's still one of the most surefire receivers in the NFL. So I think, like you said, this game eclipses that 47 mark.
If you want to get real gross with me, let's ride with the New York Football Giants plus
Man,
11 and a
again.
half, which you can still get over at DraftKings. It's 11 or 10 and a half other places. But Brian, as we talked about kind of before we pushed record, this is a Giants team that in terms of health is probably
Yep.
going to be at the healthiest they've been all season long, especially on the offensive side. Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Kenny Golladay, Kadarius Toney, Evan Ingram, like the whole crew's out there. The offense that had me so excited from a fantasy perspective heading into the season is all going to be there.
Most importantly, too, it's sounding like they're going to get their left tackle Andrew Thomas back for this game, which will be a huge addition against the Buccaneers pass rush.
Yeah. So I think Tampa, I really wish they hadn't lost to Washington.
Yeah, it's a pissed off Brady.
And yeah, that is my only hesitation with this one. But I think there's a world where Tampa dominates for 4 quarters and only wins by 10. So I will take 11 and a half with the Giants.
Yeah, and Brady has kind of struggled throughout his career against this team. I mean, we saw it last year, or was it? Yeah,
I really hope
year.
I would love for them to run Eli out and just have him standing on the sidelines. David Tyree just got the ball in his helmet like this, walking around.
They could do the ceremonial coin toss.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Just to troll Tom Brady.
Perfect.
But yeah,
that would be so good.
This is a lot of points to be giving to a team at home, coming off of a bye themselves, getting healthy. Prime time, like we said, prime time home teams are not something to mess with in terms of when they're dogs like this. And and Tampa's still beat up on the defensive side of the ball. Richard Sherman just got put on IR. They still haven't activated a ton of their corners yet. So they can be thrown on.
Yep. And this is a Giants team that's covered a lot more games than I think a lot of people gave them credit for. They've covered 3 in a row, including the Raiders, Chiefs, and Panthers. They've covered 4 of their last 6. That includes a outright win in New Orleans. This is a team that can do enough to stay within the number, and I think they absolutely will this week. So I will take those 11 and a half points and run to the window. We'll talk your teaser here in a second, Brian, and obviously we'll jump into some player props. But is there any other lines that you're looking at that maybe moved in a weird direction that you're kind of like, wait, why did it do that? Or that are just catching your eye as maybe they didn't quite make the card yet, but you could see yourself betting between now and Sunday?
Well, so the first one that I noticed that actually made a slight movement since we first talked, and that's got to be the Bears hosting the Ravens. It's actually gone down to 5, and I think that's because of Lamar Jackson missing 2 straight days of practice with another illness. I mean, this guy's sicker more than I was in junior high when I was trying to get out of going to school. So he's probably going to play. So I think this is a spot where maybe you let this continue to go down, and then you could take Baltimore. But like I said at the beginning of the week, this is an interesting spot for the Bears, who they're probably going to get Khalil Mack back this week. Akeem Hicks is going to be in there, so maybe they can stop the run a little bit with Baltimore. And if you can get pressure on Lamar, we saw it last week with Miami, This is not the same offense. So the Bears have been playing much better of late. Justin Fields looks much better of late. I think they can keep this game close. And I mean, if you can, this game would be great for a teaser. It will not be in mine, but teasing Chicago up over double digits, I think is a good play.
I agree, because there's a lot of outcomes where either the Bears keep it close or the Bears get a win.
Yeah.
The Colts, the Bills line really hasn't moved. It's been 7.5 most places. Is pretty solid 7 most places now. I'm really excited just to watch that game. I think it'll be a really fun, cool, good watch. If I had to bet it, I think I would be on the Colts. But the way the Bills offense can explode and what we saw last week, granted in a much cakier matchup, I think is holding me back just enough to not pull the trigger.
One thing of note with the Bills team, I saw it on one of the stupid TV shows this morning, but it's interesting that they're not getting as much love as they probably should be, considering they've already beaten Kansas City. They were a Josh Allen slip away from beating Tennessee.
Or a great tackle by Jeffrey Simmons, but however you want to view it.
And then, they had the slip up against Jacksonville, but I mean, outside of that, this team is probably
and the Patriots are already going to the Super Bowl for beating the Jets twice and the Texans once. So, it's all about perception, right? It's like, what do you expect from this team? It's kind of like even with the Chiefs, like we expected so much from the Chiefs that them who happen to be in first place in their division and are going to be just fine. We were like, what's wrong with the Chiefs? The Chiefs are broken. Everybody hate the Chiefs. It's because we expected them to go 14-2 and not, or 14 and 15-2, and they're not quite doing that. So it's all about expectations versus reality. But it's going to be a really fun watch, not necessarily one I want to invest too much in, although there could be some opportunities with player props.
So there's and then there's
go ahead.
I was gonna say, and then there's one more game that I'm keeping my eye on, and I think is a good spot to get in right now, and that's Detroit at Cleveland. Cleveland's sitting at an 11-point favorite right now, looking likely that Jared Goff's not going to play, which I don't really know if that's much of a downgrade for them, but I mean, they're likely going to be going against Tim Boyle, who hasn't started a game in ever.
Yeah.
And they have no weapons on offense outside of DeAndre Swift. This is a game where Cleveland could kind of, prove that they're still at least there in contention and just pound the crap out of this Lions
and we
team
get
and
Nick
win
Chubb
by
back
3
for
touchdowns.
This one, right?
What's that?
Nick Chubb's back for this one.
So he's trending in the right direction.
Yeah. Like, especially after getting annihilated last week by New England, this could be another 45-3, but the other way.
Exactly. And that's
I think
what
that
I'm
makes a
thinking
ton
with
of
this
sense.
line here.
The Panthers are 3-point favorites now all of a sudden because of Cam Newton. I don't trust Washington, so like I want to fade them because especially with Chase Young going out, but Carolina is also a team that I like, and I've tried to back at certain points, and sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't. But I thought that was interesting. And then the Bengals Raiders is just like, are either of these teams good? Are they both just not that good? And we've kind of anointed them before they're ready. But that's an opportunity if you really feel strongly that one team is good. Game last week, where if you really have a good feeling about the game, you could make some serious dough.
I will say in that Raiders game, I feel pretty strongly that Cincinnati is overall the better squad.
Yeah, and if you can get them at a pick 'em or
basically right now,
1 point either way, I think it makes sense. I also think we should be looking at Arizona, and maybe.
This is an interesting spot for the Cardinals because they have a bye week after this game. So for me, I don't see any reason for them to rush DeAndre Hopkins back. And then even though Kyler Murray's been limited, the fact that they have the bye week and they're still in first place, or they're like right there in first place still.
But it is a division game, so does that put a little extra pressure, or we want to get some good feels going into the bye week?
Well, I mean, it's a
especially after the
division
way
game against
Colt
a
McCoy got dump
3-6
trucked.
opponent.
Yeah, yeah, but if they were coming in off the Niner game, I could see it being a little more comfortable. But after losing to Carolina the way they did
Yeah,
last
true.
week, I don't know. That's an interesting spot, and probably a good reason to. There's too many question marks to stay away. But if you feel good about Kyler, and I don't think Seattle's very good, you could find yourself because if we knew Kyler and D Hop were playing and everything was fine,
Oh yeah,
that line is what 4.5, five
I
and a
was just
half.
gonna say that this is over a field goal for sure.
Mhm. So yeah, you're getting some nice value there. Any other games you really want to make sure we hit on before we hit into your teas?
This is disgusting, but the last one has got to be Pittsburgh going to the Chargers.
Yeah.
If Ben Roethlisberger plays, there's no way the Chargers are able to separate from Pittsburgh by a touchdown. I just don't see it. So I think right now is the time to get in on Pittsburgh at 6, because if Roethlisberger's playing as bad as he's been, like there's just something about these teams playing each other that are always close. And it's gonna be full of Steelers fans. It's gonna
Yep.
be Pittsburgh West this
Yep.
Sunday night. So
You need to be. That's why monitoring things like Fantasy Life and looking at practice reports and
Yep.
looking at beat writers to find little nuggets on how much these guys are practicing, how much they're out there. Are they out there during when the writers and media people are out there? Or so that's a great way to get little nuggets, get ahead of the market, and find a little value. Brian, let's talk about your Week 11 teaser because I think there's opportunity here. I like some of the choices you made, but talk to me about kind of where you're at, how many points we talking, all that good stuff.
So I mentioned it when you were talking about Jacksonville getting 6.5, and that's my first play on the ticket here. I'm actually teasing down the Niners to a 0.5 point favorite here because I do think San Francisco winds up with the win. But like you said, this Jacksonville defense has been able to put pressure on the quarterback. They've been in some close games of late, or at least competing at the end of the game. And I don't think San Francisco is going to run away here. So I like them being a favorite here, obviously to win the game, but not by a touchdown. So I got the Niners -0.5. Going to that Colts-Bills game, I think Buffalo's going to win, but a touchdown's a little bit too much. I do think there's a chance that Indianapolis winds up winning in this spot. So I don't really have a lean on the side, but the total here, starting at 50, teasing it up to 56 and taking the under for me is the play because both of these teams are going to want to defend the opposing team their strengths, and they're going to do that well. Like Buffalo's run defense is the best in the NFL. So they're going to make a very concerted effort to keep Jonathan Taylor at bay, putting everything on Carson Wentz's shoulders, which is probably going to lead to a lot of 3-and-outs.
Yeah.
And then on the opposite side of the ball, Indianapolis, they're able to get to the quarterback. And today, news of Buffalo's starting right tackle, Spencer Brown, getting put on the COVID list is going to be huge against Kwity Paye and all those guys, DeForest Buckner on Indianapolis's D-line. So I think getting this at under 56 is going to be an easy W.
Yeah, I think to your point too, it's currently getting 53% of the bets, but 90% of the money on the under. I think this could be a game where people see, like when you're setting DFS lineups, you get a little too excited about what it could be. And it's more of like a 17-13, 23-20 game. And, especially like in the second half when things are a little gross and they're, both teams are trying to, keep it close and not blow it. I could see getting a little more conservative, and even with Josh Allen's upside, which is concerning in a game like this, especially after what Mike White did to this defense. I think there could be. I think I'm with you. I like the under here.
Yeah, and then going on to my third one. This is I like Cleveland minus the 11, but teasing this down, I got it at 5.5. I just don't see a world where they don't cover this line against this Lions team with nothing on offense. There's really not much else to say other than Cleveland is probably doubly better than what Detroit is putting on the field. So yeah, teasing Cleveland down from 11.5 to 5.5. And then my last one is going to Carolina with Cam Newton going up against his former head coach, Ron Rivera. this Panthers offense, even if Cam plays half the game, is going to be a ton of running, a ton of quick slants, easily completable passes, keeping that clock rolling. And then Washington is going to probably find it difficult to move the ball, much more difficult than they did against Tampa. And even if they are moving it, it's going to be on the ground, not through the air, which means that this clock is going to be rolling early, rolling fast, teasing this from 43 to 49 and taking the under. I think this will get there pretty easily. So my 4 plays are Niners -5, Colts and Bills under 56, Browns -5 or 5.5, depending on what book you get it at, and then Washington at Carolina under 49.
Yeah, no, I think those all make a ton of sense, and it's the first time in a couple weeks where I felt really good about your teas. So I'm sure it'll go poorly when Jacksonville
exactly.
wins
Once
the
again.
outright or something. Okay, Brian, let's talk some props because there's some interesting options this week. You have a couple. One of them, I'm probably going to add. So, thoughts and prayers to that ticket. But talk to me about David Montgomery because I'm 100% on board with this one.
This dude is an absolute effing stud. He showed it last week. It was his first game back off of the IR. David Montgomery is a top 10 back at worst in the NFL. He was clearly the lead back for this Bears team who wants to keep the ball on the ground. They're going to run it in this game against Baltimore probably 30, 40 times, meaning he's going to see the ball 18 to 22 carries out of this backfield. He's blowing off chunks of 5, 6 a clip. His total right now is set at 60.5. I mean, that to me is absurdly low. I don't think he probably hits this mark halfway through the third quarter. So I got David Montgomery over 60.5 rushing yards, and I think he hits that pretty easily.
Yeah, no, I think that's a slam dunk. As I mentioned earlier, I am on the gas can. I think Myles Gaskin has a really nice game here for the Dolphins. I think they get up by a nice margin. I think they can run him, and his total, well, because of his ineffectiveness this season, is only 46.5. I think he can get to 50. I think he could eclipse. I think he could be looking at like 75 yards, maybe 100, 115 total yards. And having a really, really nice game. So I think that makes a ton of sense. I also like Joe Mixon over 65.5 yards against the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders blow out Cincinnati, and I think that's with their rush defense the way it's been. I think there will be plenty of opportunities to the under is always the way to go. It's just so many more outcomes where it doesn't work than it does, but those numbers just jumped out to me.
Well, I mean, looking at Mixon, he's gone over that mark. Is this 1, 2, 3, 4? He went over that mark in 5 of his first 6 games of the year, and those were during the times that they had started that season 4-2. So if this game is close or Cincinnati's winning, you're going to be looking at a good 15 to 20 carries out of Mixon, and it should be a fairly easy day for him to get to that mark if that's the case.
100%. What else do you have for us?
Man, this is one of my favorite players on my favorite team, and we saw it last week with the rapport that he has with Dak, and that's Michael Gallup. He is the other guy on the outside for this offense. His presence allows CeeDee Lamb to move back to the inside, which just causes all sorts of problems for defenses. Gallup is kind of that jump ball, big chunk play, kind of Cowboys version of Mike Williams, and his total is set at 42.5 right now in a game where the game total I think is set at over 50, and I mean it's gonna get there in all likelihood against this Chiefs defense, who hasn't been that great against the pass this year. I mean, even if it sees 6 targets and converts 3 of them, they'll probably be at 15 yards a clip, so he'll get there. So yeah, Gallup over 42.5 yards in a game that Dallas may have to throw a ton against this Chiefs offense, which is once again rolling.
I mentioned it when we were talking about the Niners game, about how Jimmy Garoppolo plays under pressure. His passing yardage total is set at 250.5. I will take the under there. I think the Niners way they play is they want to run 16 times as they can.
The only way Garoppolo gets over that mark is if Debo has like 2 70-yard touchdowns after breaking 20 tackles on each play. So
I'm also going to target the horrible option that is Joe Flacco. His passing yards total is 225.5. I will take the under there as well.
Oh, interesting. I would actually lean the over with Flacco because they'll probably be more open to having him go downfield to a guy like Corey Davis. So I think there's a possibility that if they're trailing early, you see them just air it out. Just
right, but like Elijah Moore, the running backs, like I just think there's too many checkdowns, and I think it's also Joe Flacco's just not good.
Yeah.
I think he throws for like 180, 190.
Whoa.
So I will take the 225. Anything else you're looking at? Any other numbers? Patrick Mahomes 312.5 versus your Dallas Cowboys.
I would absolutely hammer the hell out of the over on that.
Yeah.
I keep the one thing, the biggest misconception about the Cowboys defense is that they're good against the pass. That couldn't be further from the truth. They give up a ton of yardage. It's just the interceptions gloss over their inefficiency at actually defending the pass. Just because they get a bunch of interceptions does not mean they're not giving up huge chunk plays, and they've been victim to that all season.
AJ Dillon's prop is at 81.5. I don't know how to feel about that. It feels a little aggressive, especially when you see Dalvin Cook is right next to him at 83.5.
Oof. Yeah.
It's just. Should we just take the under? Like Jonathan Taylor is at 73.5. Like I could see AJ Dillon getting to 100 yards easy. That's what scares me. I'm going to do it. 81.5 under AJ Dillon. That just feels like too many yards.
I would, if you could find a prop of him for his total yardage, I would probably go the over. But in terms of rushing, I don't know if he's going to get there.
Let's see what we can find. Rushing plus receiving yards. AJ Dillon 112.5. So he would have to get what's that? 30.
He has like 30 receiving yards.
Yeah, 31 yards receiving on top of his rushing total.
I mean, if you don't think he's going to get to 80,
under 112.5 rushing receiving, let's go.
You're going under that as well?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if he gets 30 yards on 4 catches.
I think he could be somebody who, from a DFS perspective, could be fun. Get a couple touchdowns.
But yeah, exactly. I think he gets a couple short yardage touchdowns.
75 rushing yards, maybe 20, 30 yards receiving, and 2 touchdowns. Like 100 total yards. I think that's possible.
So down for that.
But I think there's not value here with these numbers. Yeah. And I also lined up to bet unders on Derrick Henry, and those always didn't work out. So,
well, Derrick Henry's a completely different, and he's a different creature. I mean, he's not even
Elliott 91.5 rush plus receiving. How you feel about that?
I like that one because I do think that they're going to be needing him in the passing game.
Jonathan Taylor 102.5. I kind of like that. Like
especially with Tremaine Edmonds out for Buffalo.
Yeah, and he could like get a screen pass for like 50, 60 yards. Yeah. And like there's been weeks where he didn't run very much, but then he ends up breaking off a long receiving touchdown.
But his usage is so weird in these kinds of spots. Like this will probably be the game where you see Nyheim Hines play more snaps than Jonathan Taylor just because of the packages or the defense that they're facing, which is ridiculous.
Myles Gaskin's rush plus receiving is 73.5. I'm also going to add that.
Oh, I do. I like the over on that spot right there.
73.5.
And if that were the case, this would continue. I'm pretty sure Troy King on Twitter tweeted this about how Myles Gaskin is running on an alternate week performance level.
And this is his
really
alternate
good?
week?
Crap. really good, crap. And last week it was crap, so this week he's due for a big performance. So
Perfect. I love confirmation bias, even when it doesn't actually apply to anything.
Yeah,
And it's all based on nonsense. That's
yeah,
my favorite.
exactly.
That is my favorite. All right, Brian. Any other props that we want to make sure we cover? I think that's a good amount.
I do like an Ezekiel Elliott touchdown prop this week. I think he's plus money for 1 touchdown.
You know who I like? What about our boy Danny Arnold? I could always get you down for a Dan Arnold anytime touchdown. Let's look at when his anytime.
Oh yeah. I don't even have to see it. Let's just add it.
Blindly bet it. I love it.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Pardon my French.
You're fine. This is not made for children. I don't think it's
I see score 2 touchdowns.
Heading over to the prop shop over at FTN. Let's see what they got for us.
I will say, okay, so confirmation, I will for sure add Mr. Arnold's receiving yards prop, which is currently sitting at only 43.5, and he's their number 1 target since he's been there. So
yeah. Dan Arnold anytime touchdown is not listed quite yet, but Brian and I are blindly taking it. Yeah, if score 2 touchdowns is 14, that means 1 touchdown.
Probably like 400.
Yeah,
like
plus 340, plus 350, something like that.
Especially because he hasn't scored yet.
So yeah, if we find any other cool touchdown props, we'll try and tweet them out throughout the week. But I guess that leaves one thing and one thing only, Brian, as we ran a little long today. What is your best bet for week number 11?
Oh Lord, on the spot here. I'm gonna back Mr. Discount Double Check himself. Packers in Minnesota. I'll lay the 2.5, baby.
Woo! Spicy meatball. I like where your head's at. I'm gonna get back the Jets team total under 20.5. I was gonna do the Dolphins
all in on the Jets stinking it
42-14, something like that, but I like the team total under. I think they stink out loud. And I think there's a potential where the Dolphins also play like garbage, like kind of like what we saw against the Texans.
True. Yep.
And so I'd rather just back the stinky Jets and not worry about what the Dolphins do or do not do. Okay, and as we mentioned in the beginning, we will be back on Tuesday with your full Thanksgiving Day breakdown, bets, props, targets, all that good stuff, and then we'll be back on Friday for the full slate on Sunday. As we head into week 12, Brian, we are quickly approaching the end of this season, and it's insane to me how fast it's going. It's been a blast. Enjoy week 11. Enjoy the games. Win some bets. Cash some tickets. We'll be back next week. That's Brian Twining. I'm Kyle Robert, and we'll talk to you guys next time.